we can try out a different bike I bought.
Which bike?
I run across an old, like vintage bikes, an old 84 Honda V45 700.
Oh, is that right?
Wagon
That sounds like fun.
for 25,000. New tires. It's parked in the snowbank by a trailer court. February sight unseen, which is just fine. You go travel a little bit on it, you don't have to get serious.
Right, right.
And it's not that big, you can't control it.
What size is it?
So
Okay. Big enough to hit the speed limit, that's for sure.
yeah, you can hit speed. I think you do about 125.
Yeah.
You're talking about a motorcycle?
I got an older one that's 2 years older than that. My shed, and that's a 750. That one, the guy took it out and tested it by banana, tuned it up. He said it did 143.
Yeah.
But I saw
All that means is that you die faster. If you're lucky.
if you're lucky. He's also the kind of guy that takes a bike and hooks it up the back. Hooks it 2x4.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Difficult, dirt floor. This is. No, I just want something else. 60 miles an hour.
Gloves, masks, hand sanitizer.
That's good. Morning, Rick.
We had already planned what we needed. I wasn't sure if they were going to come through. So.
It's 9, and we're streaming.
It's 9 o'clock.
Ice jams off the,
Got 9.
Yeah, can we take those off the agenda for the day?
Good morning, everyone. It is 9 a.m. I'm going to call the Codington County Weekly Board of Commissioner meeting to order. It is Tuesday, May 19th. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And I don't know if we've had Steve do this yet, so we'll ask Steve to lead us this morning.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which is one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty.
Thank you, Steve. Excuse me. All right. Item number 2 on the agenda is a call for public comment. During this COVID event and with our courthouse being closed, we would ask for individuals to call in using the 2 phone numbers, 882-6297 or 882-6248 during and before or during the meeting. And we will address this during the open. If it's an item that is not on the agenda, we will not be able to take action, but just for advisement. Item number 3, conflict of interest items. Is there any conflict of interest for any of the commissioners of any items that is on the agenda?
None.
No.
No.
All right. Also, I failed to mention that Commissioner Johnson is teleconferencing in, and I will ask for him on our votes for a roll call vote. Item number 4, action to approve the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Van Duzen, second by Gable. Anything that you thought needed? Well, I guess we can't add at this point. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Thanks. Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 5, action to approve the minutes of the May 12th, 2020 meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Gable,
Second.
second by Waterman. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries as well. Item number 6, monthly reports, facilities manager. And we do have Steve here and he will give us his report. Sounds good.
Should be on.
There, can everybody hear me? Okay. Well, I'll start out with the weed. So we've done a couple privates and so that, and looks like roadside probably be another week to 2 weeks before they'll be ready to spray for what the weed activity going on. One thing I listened in here on April 31st was the State Weed Commission meeting. And in the State Weed Commission meeting, there was proposed to put wormwood on the state noxious list and taking Russian knapweed off. It was approved. Those items go to a appropriation committee or a legislative committee for rules to see if everything was done correctly. It is looking like if it passes, everything goes good, it will probably be about mid-July that those two will be in effect. So
Which one goes on? What new one is going on?
wormwood is going on.
Okay,
And Russian knapweed is
And
coming
Russian
out.
knapweed is coming off the state noxious list. The state had done a little bit of testing with the Russian knapweed. It had been on for many years. The problem is when it came to reports to find out how many acres there's people that put down acres, but when they went out to go find these acres, they couldn't find any. And if there was some found, it was so small that there wasn't enough area to do a test plot. So that is one of the reasons why they're taking that one off. And of course, wormwood is on a local noxious list. It is on 44 counties in the state. So with that amount, they felt to put wormwood on. I know this was gone through here a couple of years ago, and now they re-looked at it again. And so it had passed the State Weed Commission on April 31st. So.
All right.
Courthouse, things are probably getting pretty well finalized. There's a few things that's need to be done. One of the things, and so that getting ready for the reopen, and that would be right now there's some X's for 6 foot apart. I have ordered some foot placings, and so we had to say just 6 foot distancing. When that comes in, we will replace and move some of them X's around. So that's for more appropriate places.
I did get my signs for my polling place. I probably have some extra if you want to look at them. They're in my back office. They're social distancing signs.
All right.
Okay.
In the auditorium, they'll be putting the shields up here for those folks in there this coming week. And then nurses are pretty well done. The extension building, voting booths will be going out this week, be setting up. And of course, Cindy was out, helped how she wants that facilitated out there. So that.
It's a very nice, big, wide open space. We're going to have plenty of room. Yeah. Because I did cut down, I combined my precincts. So I have fewer out there. And just being out there yesterday, that we should have no trouble, just spacing those apart in the north and south expos. So.
Detention center, they expanded a room in the detention center for the food service, making a lot more storage room in there. That project is getting, I believe they had electricians in yesterday to do some rewiring. Freezers are coming in this week for that. So that is getting near completion there. The park, well, camping is underway, and there has been some cancellations, but seems like about the amount of cancellations, there's more being added. So it's probably about an equal balance. And the buoys at the swimming area will be being set tonight for it there. So.
Questions, Steve?
Sorry,
No, it's okay.
I just got an email from our insurance company. And it's got information on the reopening of parks and public bathrooms and that stuff. So I'm going to send it out to all of you and the department heads. So,
all right.
It's just something good to read through. It looks like.
I went through the park 2 days ago or so, and there was some campers set up and it looked like everything was working pretty well. And there
Yeah,
looked
it seems to
pretty
be,
nice. So.
they're probably their biggest difficulty is you're supposed to report to the office and they're having a little tough time for people coming to the office reporting that they're coming to their campsites.
Oh, sure.
So and stuff, but
Stop by the office.
they need to stop by the office.
Do we have any signage? You know, that might be part of our issue with maybe a few of those
You know,
things.
I thought there was a check-in deal out by the road, but I have to double check now again. So we had for,
Or if it got taken down on
Right.
the off season or
Yep.
something. Some of those
Yeah.
things, if there was good signage, might help.
all right,
We still are just doing call-in, correct? The online is still.
well, there are some online, if people had saved it on their deal, there's some online going, but it's only been like for June, July, those things. They've been really monitoring, it's the way out for tents.
Yeah.
Right, for that situation. I did get a text this morning that there was a tenter in the tenting area. I think they pulled up last night and popped up a tent.
Hmm.
So,
Guess they're gonna have to find a new
Okay.
place.
Yeah.
so yeah, those kind of
Move
things will probably happen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Any questions?
Well, I was just Madam Chair, if it's okay, just some of the stuff that Steve was talking about early on, the things to order. I mean, that's all part of our back to new normal plan. So to get ready for phase 2, where we open the courthouse part, one of the things we got to do is order all that stuff.
Yep.
And so that's what Steve was talking about.
Okay. I'll let Rick go ahead.
Come back to that? Okay. Sounds good. All right. We'll move on then to our Highway Superintendent's monthly report with Rick Hartley. Morning, Rick.
Myron, can you hear the cordless mic okay? When Steve was talking?
I can hear it fine, yes.
Good, okay.
Well, our guys have been out, they were crack sealing till we had a little breakdown with our air compressors, so we had to rent one for a little while, but now that we were able to get material, we've started hauling on spots that need to be built up. There's a spot on 81. There's 4 spots that we're gonna have to build up. There's 2 homes on that stretch of road. They can get out. We've made it so they didn't have to drive through any water. But we've started building those up now. That's what they're doing today. We're still out with our old black pot that we patch asphalt roads with. We're just about done with that. We had some breakup earlier this spring from hauling on it. So they're getting that taken care of. Our blade guys are working on their gravel roads. They are extremely soft. They're dealing with frost boils. For those of you that don't know what a frost boil are, they are soft spots in the road where the crust of the gravel gets broke and it pushes mud up through the middle of it. And we have numerous spots throughout the whole county that are like that. And it's like pudding underneath the road and trying to drive on that. It's just very difficult right now. So they have gotten a little bit better, but we still have the road restrictions on the blacktop roads. And I've talked to the adjacent counties around us about the only one that has them taken off is Dual County, but they're a little different situation. They don't have the water like we do. Most of their water runs away. Hamlin County still has some of theirs on. One of their roads butts up to ours, south of Pelican. And other than that, they have most of theirs taken off. Grant County still has theirs on. Day County still has theirs on. Clark County still has theirs on. So we're dealing with soft roads yet.
Because this year seemed to be worse than in other years because of the higher water table, would you say?
Yeah, it's partially from the high water, but I've had years before, I remember when I still run the motor grader, that's pretty much all I did all summer was work on frost boils for quite a while.
Rick, I got 3 phone calls from 3 different individuals who were inquiring about the load limits and when those were going to be lifted because their projects are getting behind, and some of them are dirt, they need to haul dirt in and stuff. If you had to guess, and I know it'd just purely be guess, but what are we looking at for a time frame?
It won't be this week, maybe the end of next week, maybe.
Okay. And that's all dependent upon conditions.
What we get for moisture this week.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big factor on that too, so.
Rick, I probably got the same call that Troy got, but a resident, and this is north of Florence, and I think you can narrow it down in a hurry. But they feel that the neighbors aren't adhering to the weight limits at all, and they're really abusing the roads in and out of there. And they just were really frustrated with the fact that they try to maintain the road limits, but some people just seem to ignore them. And, that's the way it's always been, and that's the way it always will be, I'm sure. But there are people out there that are concerned about the roads, and they understand that they're soft, but they just wish their neighbors would maybe consider, what they're doing with the roads as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. It doesn't hurt to be a good neighbor. Just because you feel you need to haul that load of corn to town doesn't mean you should. You could make a couple extra trips. I know it costs extra money at the time, but just because you can do it, don't mean you should. I get our office, the phone rings all day wanting to know when, from different companies and farmers, when we're going to take the load limits off, but it's going to cost everybody money if we take them off too soon and miles of road get destroyed. That's, like I said, that's what guys are doing right now, is out fixing spots where there was stuff hauled on them earlier. They were 7 ton per axle, but they're still soft underneath. So,
Rick, how about up by Waverly? Are we responsible to get those patched, or is that going to be someone else that will take care of that?
the wind guys are taking care of that.
Okay.
And they've already done some work on some of the blowouts that they'd had. Basically, all they did was they took some of the chunky stuff off and put gravel in the spots to try and bridge across. And they're probably going to wind up with a lot more of that once they start, because a lot of their material will come from Conag, which is on County Road 11. They'll come down 2 miles and go across all the way over up past Waverly. So it's going to take a beating. I plan on leaving the 40-mile-an-hour trucks, even though when the load limits do come off in that area, I'm going to leave those up, because they're gonna use that all the way down to 212 and beyond. So that's just a little heads up for the farmers that the 40-mile-an-hour speed limit sign will remain until later this summer.
Right.
So
Try to help with the integrity of that road.
yes.
Yeah, just as a reminder to everybody in the county, yeah, the roads are soft and all you have to do is drive down a gravel road with your pickup and you can tell where they are. But we used to drive 1/2-ton pickups, 2-wheel drives, and now we're driving 1-ton dualies.
Yes.
And the tractors used to be an M and an H or something like that. And now we're driving big 4-wheel drives, and the equipment is much heavier. So it's, and the roads haven't changed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just, it's inevitable that it's going to happen. Please be careful and be conscientious.
Yep. There's part of that good neighbor thing,
Absolutely.
We had water go over the road up at Kings Lake on 25A. We hauled some rock in there yesterday so they can still drive through it. The carp was swimming across it the other day when I went up there, but it's good enough to get through. We can't really build it up because otherwise we'd be storing more water on the west side of the road. I'd rather have it run over the road a little bit. As long as we can control that, people can get through it. It's not, it was only a couple inches deep, but the stuff we hauled in yesterday shut the water off, so hopefully it doesn't push it down further on another stretch of road. But there's, Kings Lake is fuller than it's ever been. And it just goes all the way down the line. The water can't get away. We've got water where we've never had water in our lifetime, so.
Right. All the closed basins are full now. There's nowhere else for it to go.
yeah,
So
and
it's
still
equaled
coming in.
out.
Still coming in. Our part-time guy that mows grass and cleans the shop started yesterday. His name is Galen Geffrey. He'll work in that 20 to 25 hours a week, depending on how things are going.
Did we'll need a personnel change form filled out so the board can approve it.
Okay,
Yeah, just approving his salary, his wages.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we'll need that for next week.
okay.
Okay.
That's about all I have for monthly report, so.
All right. Does anyone have any other questions for Rick? I guess we could move on to your other items so that if you want to get going, that number 11 and 10 and 11, I guess. Do you mind, Steve, if we get Rick?
Very sure. That's why we do.
Are you ready? All right, so item number 10, action to award a bid for the Willow Creek Bank Stabilization Project. What did you come up with?
Deutsche Excavating was low. They were $78,887.
All right.
What was it again? 78,000 what?
$78,887.
And the
60
engineers
cents.
reviewed all the bids and
Yes.
there.
Yep. Clark Engineering went through the bids,
Okay.
and make sure everything was correct.
All right.
So that's your recommendation?
Yes, that's my recommendation.
So I'll make a motion to award the bid to Deutsche.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
I,
any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. All right, item number 11, action to approve an engineering proposal for hydraulic and hydrology studies for a culvert connecting Goose Lake to Lake Pelican.
Yes. I don't know if everybody knows it, but the water is running out of Goose Lake under our county road 17 on the west end of Pelican and going into Pelican now. So there's one 24-inch culvert in that stretch of road. So if we would get the big rain, I would be afraid that we're gonna back water up, send it both ways, if not over the top of our road. So I propose to have Clark Engineering give us what they would feel would be the right culverts, box culverts, whatever we need to put in the road so we don't have the water backing up.
Yeah, especially now that it's found an outlet, it's gonna keep coming.
Yeah, so if we get a 4-inch rain, I'm really nervous.
Yes, I was out there and I want to go back again and see how much more it's been just from the
We
last
get a
week.
4-inch rain, we're in trouble everywhere.
Yes, yes, indeed.
So
But you're right, especially there.
the fee is $12,000.
I make a
So-
motion to approve
I'll
that
second the motion.
proposal.
We have a motion by Gable and a second by Van Duzen. Any other discussion?
Just, was
Yeah.
it a budget? Go ahead, Myron, I'm sorry.
oh, my question was, we got to be very, very careful here because we're enlarging, apparently it sounds like we might be enlarging the size of the culvert. At first, when I saw this, I was really concerned, but I know that there is a culvert there. But when we start moving water from one body to another body, there's going to be other people that are affected. And I hope that Clark Engineering, and I'm assuming that they will. Now, you shouldn't assume anything, but all this is going to be legal. So we don't have any repercussions of the people on Lake Pelican getting flooded out because of the water from Goose Lake coming in there. You understand what I'm saying? When we're moving water around, we got to be very careful.
Yes, and they do all the permitting, the 404 permit from the Corps, and hopefully all the permits that go along with it, so.
Well, I was pretty sure that I just wanted to make certain, and so it's on record that I'm concerned about the movement of that water.
Yes, I am too.
And that's why we have an engineering firm doing
Yes.
that rather than you trying to guesstimate
Yep.
it. It's gonna go whether there's another culvert there or not. It's going through, so.
Yep, that's why we need the culverts, as to just have it.
Better
Watch the road.
to do the study and get everything lined up and be prepared.
Yes,
And Pelican has got it out anyway, so it's a,
yes.
The other question that I would have is there any possibility that we could use any FEMA money or apply for any FEMA money to help cover some of this? Or it's not an event, so I don't imagine there will be. That's just a question.
I don't know if there would be any FEMA money because there's been no disaster declared for
Yep.
Codington County, so.
And this is a new location. The other ones we maybe could tap into because they were on that disaster from last year, where you're having some of that road issue
That,
out
I'm
west.
sure, because without anything from this year,
Mhm.
I don't think we'll qualify for anything.
But there's nothing in your budget, is there, Rick, to cover this?
We're gonna have to make it work. It wasn't a budgeted item, so.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gable, did you have?
No, I think Myron's questions answered my questions. Thank you.
Because there's money, I'll probably have to do different things from what I had budgeted for this year. Like some of our chip sealing may have to get extended into next year or so. Because I'm gonna have to buy rock. We're building up spots that weren't a budgeted item. So our paving project has gotten moved. because
Oh,
of
and
the-
some of those bigger projects are gonna have to be
Yes, they're gonna have to get pushed till next year.
pushed back
or
anyway.
Whatever,
because of-
and I'll have to use that money for different things, so.
Yeah.
and you couldn't have budgeted this. This is something that's not foreseeable. This is impossible to put it as a contingency in a budget. It's just not.
And this probably isn't going to be the last one.
I would
Because
almost
like I said,
guarantee it.
it's so full of water west of here that it's trying to work its way somewhere, so.
Yeah, and the thing is it's still coming in. I mean, because of the water table being so high that
Did
there's
we
nowhere
vote?
for it to go. It's just saturated.
Did we vote?
Pardon?
Did we vote yet?
No, we have not. We're still having discussion. But if we're ready to vote, I can ask that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
All right, we'll back up to Steve. We'll go to item number 7, action to approve hiring a temporary full-time maintenance employee.
Well, I know I was addressing about this situation last week, and Terry had done some research with the temporary service business here in town, and they did not give them anything what the cost would be. Basically, they just wanted to send them forms to fill out. With our discussion, and so that he had suggested that we just hire a full-time personnel. I know that there was some budget money for an extension building to add, and so that, and then flex around. So I guess my suggestion would be then is to, I guess the hire. I did have a little discussion with Charlie on this too. So that would be the proposed proposition.
All right, so
Question for Rick. Excuse me, Carrie. See, you're not even gone yet. You're gone. Is there some way that we can make this a 1-year job and with benefits?
would you give Terry the mic, the hand mic?
So then they would be a contracted employee, Terry? Is that how that would work, or?
What's that?
How would that work
Well, I'm
as
just
far as the
trying
contract?
you would just contract with them for 1 year, X number of dollars.
What about benefits? Contract, those, would they be in the contract?
If a contract wouldn't have benefits unless you specifically put them.
Okay, all right.
Maybe
We could write the contract with the way we would want it though, right? I mean, if we wanted to include benefits, we could put them in there.
Yeah, you can put anything you want into a contract.
But for a specific period of time.
Right. The contract would run from
Temporary.
whenever the day you hired them to the date you picked that the other guy's back. That would be one way to do it. You just contract with them directly. Now, whether you get somebody to do that or
We can do this more discussion if you prefer.
I guess you can put it out there that way and then see, I guess, if you get any applicants that are willing to do that. And then reevaluate it, I guess, if you're not, but I don't know what else then, what other options there would be.
Well, there's some things going on that Steve and I have talked about and not at liberty to discuss, and that's why I would like to propose that a 1-year contract with benefits. We've looked at the temporary employment agents, and that's wasn't satisfactory. And so that's.
Well, Steve, I assume that the reason that this is coming before this commission is because there's a need for this person, right? I mean, we want to get them hired and get them in place and get them working. Okay.
Due to some injury and so that, and then it's like, they'll be out probably right now, looking like at least till mid-July. In August, I have a personnel that is being activated for a year. So that is the reasoning for this. I need to have somebody to fill in at least for that position of that active member.
Could we pass this today, accept this with the stipulation of a 1-year term with benefits? Or does this have to be published next week?
We'd have to get a contract figured out, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would think you'd have to have the contract at least written up, specifying just what exactly was going to be involved benefit wise and that type of thing. And I'm not 100% sure if we can put a contract person under like health insurance or.
Have to check with SDML.
I mean, okay, it's a contract. We don't necessarily need to refer to the employee as a contracted employee, but they are being offered a contract to work for an hourly rate, 40 hours per week with benefits, because it's going to have to go through payroll.
Right, okay.
Right. I mean, it's still a contract, but I don't know if you want to call him a contracted employee. It's an employee who is signing a contract for a 1-year employment.
I think that makes.
You know, I don't know the fine lines.
So it seems to me, Madam Chair, so it seems to me that it's just the same as any other employee, just he understands that he's probably only going to be working for a year.
But
I mean,
having said that, even though you're saying it's only a 1-year employment, I still think that when he's done, he would be eligible for unemployment benefits on the county.
Well, yeah, that's not, yeah, I'm sure he would be.
Right, yeah, so
that
we're
is-
not gonna avoid that. Just
No.
wanted to bring that out there. Yep,
Not thinking about that at all.
okay, all right.
Not
Just
thinking just a period of
just
we're
giving
looking for
you-
somebody for a year
Just giving you a
and
heads up
then
that,
with the possible reevaluation.
okay,
And the one thing is I could end up around filling in, a lot of times with the extension building, you always need wintertime extra help. I've even thought about, I could get him to fill them in for like in the summer for spraying. Purposes too, he probably more or less could be a flex,
Like a floater.
floor.
Cost wise, if you did a contract with benefits or you hired somebody full-time with benefits, the cost is the same.
right,
And if you can use them in other, first of all, we don't know what's going to happen a year from now. Maybe this guard member will get activated for another year. We don't know what's going to happen there. Sometimes they get extended, sometimes they don't.
Maybe it's okay, just,
Huh?
maybe it's okay then just leaving the temporary full-time as long as they understand that.
Well, you can operate that way. You can, like, anytime prior, if the first 6 months, they can be let go without cause by policy. If you hire a full-time employee, after 6 months, then you have to show cause if you're going to terminate.
But I think we could hire them based on the, like what you're saying there is based on the understanding that they know that their position will be terminated upon the return of the employee
Yeah.
from guard duty. I mean, we've done that in the past with the city. We're
Have
going to
you?
hire you as an officer to fill in for this period of time while this other officer is gone, just knowing that your position will be finished upon the successful return of that employee. So,
That might be the simplest way.
I
to
think
do
that's the way, yeah, I think that's the way to
Do
go.
the temporary.
so I think it's just a matter of
Yeah.
educating them to know
Yeah.
that when that employee returns, your employment with the county will cease.
I mean, advertise it that way.
Yeah.
Cottington
So they're-
County is
yeah.
seeking
We
a
can have them sign a
full-time,
document.
yeah.
And just have
seeking
them
a
sign it so that they
full-time
understand it and then.
Temporary
Temporary is
temporary
the
employee,
word,
yeah.
It's-
Just
it's-
advertise it that way, see if anybody's interested.
right?
Maybe it's somebody who's,
In
thinking of
between
retiring
jobs.
one job, needs something to fill in.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And I could see that in
Yeah.
that position.
My thought is just to maintain the level of employment rather at this time, rather than possibly gaining more employees for the county.
Right.
Would that work for you?
That would work for me.
Okay.
As long as they're in the understanding that this is a very temporary.
I'll make a motion that we hire a temporary,
Advertise and hire.
a temporary full-time maintenance employee
I would
at
second
this
that.
point. And I don't know if I need to, well, I guess I say temporary full-time maintenance.
For an
Temporary would be
estimated 1 year.
For a estimated period of 1 year.
Yeah, we'll put that in there too. Okay.
Yep.
All right, we have a motion and a second by Waterman. Any other discussion? Commissioner Johnson? Hearing
No,
none.
I'm good. I'm good.
Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
any opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 8, action to approve updates, changes to various Memorial Park campground policies, procedures, fees, etc. So you all received that in your packet. We'll let Steve explain again where he is at with this.
In the past, there's been, for group policy of 10% down, I proposed and turned around and just to drop that away. It's been a hard time trying to collect from some of these individuals. So I moved it for a seasonal, reservation only for a down payment. And that would be at least for a month prepay, in advance. And then from that continuation, that once they arrive, they need to pay for each month or for a month in advance. And so we had some of these items that are on the bottom have been in the policy for quite some time. I just felt that it needed to be so it's posted on the full policy. There had been a couple other changes that had been in there that, for an instance, for the office, and for reservations made to the office, it kind of had read before that you could call in on February 1st. I had to change that, so there was no call in until after April 1st. And then I guess that pretty well covers most of the stuff. Like I said, a lot of the agenda items that were in the very bottom of this was in an old policy. It had been always in the policy on the brochure, but I felt it needed to be put on this policy. So it was added because this policy is also on the website. So this would reassure.
The only thing I noticed on the bottom there, cancellations is incorrectly spelled in that first line.
Oh,
Just want to
that's-
Just want to fix
Yep.
that before you put it on the website
right.
or
Thank you
anywhere
for that.
else. Yeah.
And then you have on this page after that, there's a fee schedule.
Yeah. Do we want
Let's
to do these
let's
individually?
Separately,
Oh, that's
yeah,
just-
let's do
okay.
them
Yeah.
separately, yep. So this is,
Reservation
reservation
policy.
policy.
Oh. I'll make a motion to approve the updated reservation policy as Mr. Mollengrath reviewed.
All right.
Second that,
Motion by Gable, second by Waterman. Any other discussion? Commissioner Johnson?
No, I'm good.
All right, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
aye,
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, now we'll move on to the rates.
I've got proposed rates for next year's campus season. One of the reasons you try to get this out is because people can make reservations a year in advance. So I have the items of the 2020 rates on the left. Some of these, I kind of found an old, I guess, worksheet and somebody had, that was done in 2013. And I kind of more or less followed that worksheet along the line. On the right is the proposed rates for the 2021. There's been some increases, especially on the full hookup out by the campsite, or I should say out by the lakeside. That is a pretty popular one. I had checked in with Watertown City. Their pull-throughs are $35. Thought that was probably just a little bit stiff. So I went with $30 on them and then adjusted the other ones accordingly. And then also the weekly and monthly rates accordingly to that. The only thing that I would have to turn around and say on one of the rate changes, and that would be on the wood bundles, it's at $4. I wish to turn around and change that now for the 2020 rate to be a $5 bundle. It makes it a lot more convenient for people that come in, pay of $5. You usually come up with $5, and so you're always trying to reverse the amount of $1. Plus, you go to a lot of places to buy a bundle of wood. Typically it's $5.
So you want to go effective June 1st
Yes.
on that?
Steve, I have a question.
Yep.
On the weekly rates, full hookup, 50 amp pull through, it went from 150 up to 180. It's a
Well, that's
$30
because-
increase.
That's because of the 25. It's rated, how it's rated is you get 6 nights, pay for 6 nights, get 1 night free. And that's how the adjustment, and it actually rated that one quite a bit higher because of that $5 increase per night. That's where the adjustment got a lot higher. So if you would add basically $5 for 6 nights, that would be $30 more for that weekly rate. Anything else?
yeah, I do, I got a question, Steve, it's just curiosity item for next year. But I see Campesca Hall is $78 and the rest of them are all even money.
And that's because that has a whole kitchenette set and everything in it. That is one of the biggest reasons why that one is higher. That rate was adjusted, I don't know if that was a year ago, that got readjusted. I kind of looked
Can't
up,
tell you.
I
I'd have
could
to look
not
back.
see all I seen was minutes that was saved. And so I had for adjustments of last year, but I didn't see the whole rates. And so.
What year were those minutes? Do you remember?
It was like about May 6th of last year when that was approved last year.
Okay.
And you're leaving those rates all the same.
Yeah, I'm leaving those rates all the same. And that's one of the reasons why the pavilion is higher, because there's a whole.
No, it's not that it was higher, it's 78.
Yeah.
It's $2 less than 80,
Oh.
which would be
I
even
know.
money.
I just left them the same, I guess.
That's the only reason. No, I didn't.
You
Why
do
it's
got a
higher,
point.
I fully
You do got a
understand.
point. Most of those times, those aren't really paid with cash. There's sometimes checks. So I add on that. And so
And when they come to the office and pay that, it's easier to remember an even figure than it is an odd amount on a couple odd ones.
true.
What type of response do you get from people when you show them the rates out there?
You know,
I'm just curious on the
I couldn't
feedback.
really tell you for sure. I never heard too much on feedback. I'm
Mhm.
sure I'm going to hear some on some of this stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, I guess I know like city had gone significantly up on theirs, especially the pull-throughs. I'm doing a comparable rate with them to the fact that, you know, the full hookups, you still have water and stuff, and those are the same as what the city is. The only thing would be is the, you know, like I said, the pull-throughs. The city would be at 35, and it seems like they always fill up, and they're a popular item. I mean,
That
it's a
weekly
lot
rates is
easier.
7 days.
Yep, it's a 7-day, considered 7 days. Like I said, you get paid for 6 nights, get 1 night free. And that goes on the monthly rates. It's usually what it happens there is it goes by a month, but you get basically 5 nights free for a month rate. So,
Okay.
All right, any other questions? Does anyone want to make a motion to approve these rate changes?
So moved.
Got a motion by Waterman.
I'll second that.
Second by Gable. Any further discussion?
Just to make sure. So you're talking about the $5 wood bundle rate?
yep, that to be changed to $5 this year.
This year, okay, so,
Yep.
yeah, I made a little annotation on there. to
Okay, yep.
do that, so, okay.
All right, Commissioner Johnson, do you have any comments you'd want to make?
No, I'm okay.
All right, are we ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
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 Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Okay, well, now we move on to your chip seal project out there.
This year, this was actually something that actually was brought up, I believe, last year, and I believe it might have even been approved last year. But due to the weather factors last year, it never did get completed. I had looked at the integrity on the park on the drive areas, and the west end is cracking up quite a bit. Had a discussion with Rick on this. It was discussed to see if they could do it. His advisement was it probably, for the price, it probably would cost just as much, if not more. Plus, it'd be a lot easier for somebody that's able to do that quicker and faster than they are, and getting into some of those trees. So yeah, they're better equipped with those situations than what they can handle. So
All right, so you have this quote with RH Seal Coating and Asphalt for $15,204 with the
Yep.
option of,
and the
Sweeping?
sweeping of the surface, what they do is when they come back, they'll actually sweep it up and remove it instead of the highway shop. You could get the sweeper, but that would sweep everything, all the rocks into the grass areas and so that. So Rick thought it would probably be a good advisement to have them actually do the sweeping.
We're gonna keep, we're gonna keep the sweepings to use for different projects.
We could,
I
I
know,
suppose we
I-
could propose and ask that to keep it. And I mean, because you could probably keep the sweepings, and we could probably, for instance, part of this is not going to get really done in behind the shop area. It's all busting up anyway. We could use the sweepings and set that in the back of the shop area. And
In
utilize
case
it
somebody's
for
not
footing.
in case somebody's not following sweepings. Sweepings are the granite chips that they put down, and they're about 1/4 to 3/16 in diameter, maybe sometimes 5/16. I've got a pile of them myself that from a highway project, and they're just come in so useful.
Yeah, they fill in those voids and so that if you got holes and stuff and muddy spots,
Great water drainage.
right?
Steve, I noticed that this is a company from Russell, Minnesota. Did we, I don't remember, did we put this out for local proposals as well?
I didn't do
mean-
that personally. I don't know what Mile had done in the past. I think he had been advised through with Dunnings at that time.
I mean, I would like to see us rebid this
Okay.
so that the local company would have
Yep.
the option to bid
Okay.
on it. That's me personally. I don't know what the rest of the commissioners feel, but I think it's important that we support our local businesses as well, especially
How long
right
is this
now.
Good for.
I guess until I signed it, basically, they never really set an amount of time.
It
I do know
says,
that they would like to, I know they would like to turn around and look or he called and was wondering if it was accepted to kind of get on a schedule.
Says it
When
can
they
be.
have
It
other
says 30
projects that they're
30
doing
days.
here.
Yeah, it says right on here, proposal may be withdrawn by us
Yep.
if not accepted
Okay.
within 30 days.
And that's what it is a proposal. It's not a
Yep.
bid because it's
Right.
way under the required bid laws.
Yep.
So if you know of, I mean, you don't have to advertise this. You can just send out,
Ask.
you can just send out correspondence
Yeah,
or
'cause
something
there's
to.
local
So we
companies in
could
town that
take
do
care
it
of this
too.
next week.
Right.
If you're able to.
Could you do that within the next week?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, just contact some local pavers or whatever.
And
Not
Dunnick's
to delay
was
the
one-
project,
Dunnick's
Steve, but
was the one that had the proposal last time.
Dunnick's had, actually, they had the doing some patching is what they had. It wasn't actually the seal coating, it was
That
actually
wasn't the chip sealing.
No, it was actually the
You're correct.
patching out there, and they did get that done last year, the patching. How Dunnick's did.
And they might not be able to even do it. I don't know, but I think we could at least reach out and ask
Okay,
the
yep.
question. Maybe they'll be cheaper.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we have not released a price, or did we?
Yeah, I
Okay.
said, but
No,
Oh, okay.
no, did you?
I wasn't
Yeah, yeah.
listening. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna put down that we're gonna delay this 1 week. We don't need to take action, but we're gonna delay it 1 week to look at local
Can you
bidders.
put that on the agenda for next week?
Thanks, Steve.
Yep.
all right. I think that's it for you. And
I'll wait for the other.
oh, for the COVID part. Okay, that's fine. Next, we'll move on to item number 12, action to approve hiring of a part-time welfare assistant to fill a vacancy. Do we have Sarah on? Is she going to explain her position on?
Hi,
that?
Sarah.
Hi. Yes, this position is just to replace the temporary individual who's unable to return. Asking to just have that what we would do is interviews via Zoom with the idea to be able to hire to start the training, hire in July to start training so that we're ready when we expect the uptick in August. I anticipate an uptick in need, so just asking to replace the other individual. It's not a new position.
So it's already in the budget.
Correct.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Lee, did we want to have some discussion on this at this
Yeah,
point?
just, yeah, if we, well, one of the things, Sarah, as when she, in some of the email, just to help us understand it a bit better, pointed out the issues with handicapped accessibility in that building. And it's a city auditorium. It's, it's the space is fine, but it's just hard for the handicapped accessibility. Sometimes both for the welfare office and for veterans assistance as well. So as we've mentioned this before, but maybe we need to be looking at, thinking about relocating those offices. And so one thing we had mentioned is the possibility of, it could be an opportunity to think about relocation and then maybe even co-location, particularly on the welfare side with somebody like ICAP, where you're kind of doing the same thing. And some of the things we talked about back in, we talked about stepping up. We've talked about, improving warm handoffs between different programs and agencies, and maybe making sure that get rid of any unnecessary overlap, so there's better coordination, and then also on the opposite side, avoiding falling through the cracks. And then kind of that, we've talked a lot about case management, and I think by getting some agencies together, at least co-located, we might be better about handling the case management thing, reducing the need for separate case managers. So that's an idea. I think it's an opportunity to be talking about it. I mean, whatever we do at this particular part-time welfare assistant, I do think we need to. It just seemed like it kind of got me and Commissioner Hinton thinking about what do we do? How do we do that? And we talked about the issues with that building before. So
How long has she been in that office over there? How long has it been since we moved her over there?
2 years?
about 2 years, I think. Yeah. Anyway, but the space itself is okay. The inside, I mean, those are okay. It's just that accessibility issue, I think. And it's an older building as well. And the city gives us a very good price. But, so.
I would just add, you know, when we're talking about ICAP, there are other counties that contract with them to do the casework part of it. So I guess there's not a rush to move on this. I would like to get more information from them as to what that might look like, because we may not have to hire a part-time help them. If we would contract with ICAP, they could be doing all the intake of those individuals in that location, and it would be a cost savings to the county by being able to do that.
So I guess, yeah, with kind of that in mind, I'm kind of wondering if this should be maybe have a temporary view toward it, so that we can see about how we work those things out. And maybe we need to use the Stepping Up Committee, or what's called the Behavioral Health Working Group, as a way to talk about this. I don't know how long it would take to get, you know, all these things. There'd be some moving pieces in it, but I think that might be something so Sarah, your request brought this to mind, because it seems that, you know, as we've talked about all the things dealing with the welfare, social services side of things, and how it relates to the justice system, and, you know, all the things that surround that, you know, a lot of it that the Stepping Up initiative was meant to address. Maybe there's some things we can do that are, that would create better synergy between all the moving pieces that try to help people, you know, the group of people that you're trying to help in your office.
So with that, then we wouldn't necessarily need to have a part-time person in the welfare office if we contract with ICAP, because then they could do it hour by hour, however that works. They do this already in Grant County. So,
So my motion, I'm going to keep my motion to hire a part-time welfare assistant to fill the vacancy. It's already budgeted. We're looking at having an issue coming up here in the next month or two of people influxing our office over there. And I think if we're going to have that discussion about combining offices, that's not what this agenda item is. This agenda item is to hire a part-time welfare assistant to fill a vacancy. That's what my motion is.
right, but that individual may not be needed. If we can do a cost savings to the county and contract with ICAP to do that, we would not need an individual. So if we go through this process, then we're gonna have to tell that person down the road that they're not needed. And I guess it would be a lot easier there's not a rush on this to check this all out before we go ahead and have somebody hired.
But Commissioner Hanton, isn't that temporary the key word here? And if this is just starting under the discussion of the other one, and we have no time frame of what that might be. So being just this is this word temporary is in here, I would support Troy's motion.
Well, I would just add to that we could easily contract with ICAP in a very short period of time. That's not going to take long to do that. They do this all the time. This is what they specialize in, is case management.
So, yeah, this is, that's a bit of a different aspect, Commissioner Hanton. So I guess I kind of understand what Commissioner Van Duzen's saying, is they are kind of two separate things. You know, on the one hand, Sarah's request just brought to mind this thing that we talked about in the past. You know, a bigger need, bigger picture need.
And I'm not saying that I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I get that.
Commissioner Gable, but that's not the agenda item that we're voting on today.
So,
Well, you don't have to, my point is you don't have to act on it yet, just the same as we were going to do with the maintenance to look into this. There isn't a rush to do this.
well,
That's the thing.
if it's realistic, I mean, I think, just to put this in perspective, I think relocation, co-location, those are things that are going to take some time to work out. I mean, that could be months to work something like that out. But if it's a quick thing to ask ICAP to help with some of this, you know, some of the things that the part-time welfare assistant does, then yeah, if that's something that's a little bit different than what I was talking about. But if that's a possibility, you know, is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay.
it would be a possibility that ICAP could do that, start the case management on that part of it at any point in time. I can call Arlene right now and she can explain to the rest of you how that would look. They do that in other counties. They contract for other counties and it's cost savings.
Seems like there's a push on here to have ICAP take over our welfare system.
No, it's not to take over. It's to do the case management part, and they do it in other counties. And they know all the programs. They are very capable of doing that part of it. We talked about case management. We wouldn't have to train anybody new to do this. It's not to take over. It's only to assist on the case management portion of it.
Well, so if I understand what Commissioner Hammond is saying is that it might even be, if we could maybe ask for a week to check into that possibility, to see if that would be cheaper than at least, you know, so that's kind of a, you know, getting from point A to point B to try to answer Sarah's request right now, if it would effectively do that, you know, in fairness to what Sarah's asking for, and maybe help us, you know, bridge toward the other thing, you know, the bigger picture piece.
Commissioner Gable, that's not that's not what's on the agenda.
Well,
The agenda is to hire a temporary employee for the
I
welfare
understand.
agency.
And we can
That's,
move-
it doesn't say ICAP, it doesn't say
No.
this, it doesn't say anything else. It just says that.
I'm not saying to do that today. I'm asking to wait a week to look into some of this information for next week and it can be on the agenda. We don't have to act on this, just like other things, we put it to the next week.
So could you make the request to table this until next week?
Yes, I would
And then we
make
would
a-
vote on that, right?
Tabling is only if you're gonna act
Be
on it later in the
No,
meeting.
it's
would be
to,
postponed.
to
Postpone, okay,
postpone it
yes.
till
So-
next
so
week.
Just to clarify, I hear what Commissioner Waterman is saying. So what I understand, and I wasn't, when I started talking, I wasn't initially, I wasn't thinking, I realized it's a separate agenda item. So we're saying, the question I think is, do we need to hire a part-time assistant, or can we fill that need that assistant is to meet by temporarily or temporarily or otherwise working with ICAP to meet that need? That's the question. So as far as this particular agenda item goes, so is there just another way to answer the need that is
Right,
intended by that agenda item? So not talking about the bigger picture of co-location, relocation.
No.
That's.
We have a motion on the floor.
pardon?
I'm sorry?
Say that again, Myron?
I said we have a motion on the floor.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second on the floor. I guess if someone would want to make a motion to postpone till next week so we can get more information.
I'll make the motion to postpone, just 1
We
week.
have an original motion on the
Oh,
floor.
okay, you're right. So I'll make a substitute motion to postpone.
All right, I'll second that motion. I think it has some value in seeing what the cost savings could be and also moving towards a bigger sort of idea that could be a lot more valuable to the citizens of our community as to having their needs met. So are we ready to vote on the subsequent motion to substitute to postpone? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Johnson,
I'll say no.
all right. All opposed, say no.
No. No.
All right.
So we're back to the original motion.
So the original motion is,
Original motion is
did you
to-
say
what's
temporary
on the
or did
agenda.
you?
It
Yeah.
says part-time. The agenda says
Yep,
part-time.
Part-time, but it wasn't temporary. And you were
My
saying
motion is
something
to
about
hire, just like
temporary.
it's worded on the agenda,
That's
the
the way-
hiring of
that
a
is-
part-time
That
welfare
is the way
assistant to
Troy
fill the
stated in the
vacancy.
original motion.
Okay,
That's a budgeted item already. And if we decide that we want to do something with the office, then we need to have that discussion and get that on the agenda and we can take further action on that at a later time.
so
But
then
my
you're
motion
gonna
is
have
to
a,
hire a part-time welfare assistant to fill the vacancy. And that's all I
and
need to
then
say
what
about
if
that.
when we do this, there's no need for that part-time person and because there's no rush right now, I guess I don't understand what the push is for that.
This part-time, this was brought to the agenda. Obviously, our welfare director feels that we need it. And there is not a start and stop time on here. Sarah, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
And can you hear me?
Yes.
What are you looking at for a start time?
I would like to start about, the beginning of July to give some time for training so that as we anticipate the uptick, we'll be prepared for that. I do agree with many of the comments that were said as far as location. It's as far as an employee, I never really thought about how that would affect somebody working the handicap part. We work with clientele and that's difficult, but this did bring up a different component. I do think it's a good idea to be able to have the possibility be in the same location as another agency. Years ago, ICAP used to be in the courthouse, and I think there's some benefits to that. But I also agree that this is something, many of those things that are talked about are down the road. What this office does is we fill the gaps. So these are individuals that come to us after they're being told that there isn't assistance elsewhere. And for example, one of the things that we do go through is we're working with an individual who went through even the coordinated interest system and was told there was absolutely nothing for them. And so we're picking up gaps. And so that we do very, very well with that. And continue to do that and collaborate at the same time. So I do feel the need. That's why I brought it forward. I think this will give us time to advertise, and this will give us time to get that person in place as we have those needs. We are starting to see a few gaps, but I think moving forward the next year or two, I would anticipate that most places will need an increase probably in case managers, especially if we do a component of the ESG, which is heavy paperwork. So I would ask for the board to support this motion, and I appreciate the discussions.
One more question, Sarah. We're talking part-time. How many hours are you proposing?
It was what it was already, and that was the 19 hours. In addition, keep in mind, I've been told that I have to keep the office open, and if I don't have somebody here, I can't do that, which then I'm not able to access my benefits of vacation. So that would also take care of that.
All right, any other questions or comments?
Yeah, just, Madam Chair, I can understand with the office hours that the welfare director, that Sarah just outlined for us and the need. So, while I would have preferred to postpone it, I can understand the need, especially with the need to keep the office open. So, yeah.
All right, are we ready to vote then? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
opposed? Aye. That motion carries. Item
you,
number
Sarah.
13, discussion, possible action to accept a quote for IT services.
Madam Chair, if I may, on this one, I think we have Dan and Greg on to explain this one. But let me so they're from Connecting Point. Are you guys there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so one of the things that with all the need to have virtual meetings and then we've had this need to stream for a while. And then on top of that, we've had IT services from Connecting Point, but it's been on call. So it's kind of like when you call a plumber and they come and you pay an hourly rate. And that's, understandably, you're not going to get the high priority that sometimes you need if you're not on a managed services contract. And so I've kind of observed this for a while, even before we had to do the virtual meetings, that there's a need. We don't have an overarching IT person on staff. We have a lot of the hardware, a lot of the software in place, and that particularly gets important for cybersecurity monitoring. However, when it's just a software-based solution, it's kind of a passive thing. And then, so with all the different things that could all the different things that can happen in this world. And you've probably read about some of the ransomware attacks to local governments and community colleges and those kinds of things that are pretty scary. So you can look at things, basically the choice that I think is before us is, do we hire an IT person, put them on staff, or do we look at some kind of a managed services contract? And so my guess is that a managed services thing would probably be a better thing to do. And if you're wondering what a salary of an IT person looks like, I mean, it can be pretty high. I think maybe a good example for us would be Brookings County. They have 2 IT people on their staff. So they have a small IT department. The head of that IT department, the pay step that they're at is from $55,000 to $69,000, and that does not include benefits. So that gives you an idea of kind of what we'd be looking at cost-wise. So then Dan or Greg, if you guys could explain kind of the difference between what a managed services contract would get us as opposed to what we have now, that would help us grasp this a bit.
Yeah. Madam Chairman and Commissioners, my name is Dan Turkey. Again, thank you for the opportunity. What we really view a managed service contract as is really a proactive sort of advisory role connection with a company. I think we've been on site, and we do have a hardware contract now in place, but I think the hardware contract that we have in place now is really reactive. The hardware contract comes into play in the event that you have hardware failure or you have some problem actually occurring. The difference between that and the managed service contract is we try to be more proactive. We try to actively manage security, making sure things like the operating system patches, the Microsoft patches and things like that get put in place in a consistent, timely manner. We do more monitoring of the network. We monitor the antivirus software, make sure there's no real anomalies on the network. You do get increased priority with Connecting Point. The turnaround time, the callback time is typically 30 minutes or less with a critical system. And the other main reason why we've got a lot of companies looking at managed services is the ability to do a consistent budget. One of the things that you guys probably get surprised on now is you do an install of 2 or 3 computers, and you're probably hit for $700, $800, $900 for an install fee. Whereas with managed service contract, as long as your equipment is on managed services, you'll pay basically a flat monthly rate. You're able to really budget that and spread it out over however many departments are going to utilize the service. So again, it's more proactive than reactive, and gives you a little bit better control of your billing, and also increased security. We take care of patches and monitoring a lot more proactively. So those are some of the things. That's why people are looking at managed services.
So one question I had, Dan or Greg, is so if we had a cyber attack or a virus problem, or some kind of malware thing, what would we be looking at to recover, say the current way we're doing it and with a managed services contract? What would be the difference?
The current managed service that you guys, or the current contracts that you have in place, really don't provide any preventative care. They really don't provide any recovery. So that's paid on a as needed basis. So if you had your servers that went down and we had to do a full recovery, and we had to make the systems work again, it might be, again, this is really kind of it's a hard question, because I'm really taking a shot in the dark. On the low end, it might be just a couple of hours, 2, 3, 4 hours. On the high end, it might be a day to 2 days to kind of get everything back up and running. That's probably a good estimate. So dollars and cents wise, you're probably talking as low as a couple $100, maybe $500. And on the high end, it might be several $1,000, $2,000 to $4,000.
Well, so I guess just to give people an idea what your quote is, it would work out annually to about $58,000. We did if we did everybody in the county. So we're having a lot of discussion with our departments. In some departments, I think it'd be a very useful thing, the ones that have more IT or a server. But in other departments that have just a couple PCs, then it's a little bit different perspective. So I think this probably needs to stay just discussion right now. And I still need to study the budget impact a little bit more. And just to give people an idea, I ran the numbers for, and Cindy helped me pull up all the connecting point bills just to give us an idea. I did my best to pull out the equipment purchases and things that would be covered under this contract. And so I think this quote would probably be a little bit more per month than what we paid, say in 2019. But as you said, some of the benefits are we have basically our IT help desk, and then we have the active cybersecurity and fault monitoring, and then we have better response times. And then if something does happen, we have kind of that insurance policy that you guys will help us fix it. So, and this would replace the current hardware contract, which I don't have the amount in front of me what that is. So basically what I think we're kind of looking at is something that's probably going to cost a little bit more than what we're paying, but when we get a little bit more, but it's going to be less than hiring an IT person. One other thing I need to mention is that as we talk, in order to run the virtual meetings and to run the streaming so that one of us commissioners doesn't have to do it, that would not be covered under this proposal. So you guys provided a different quote for that. And that's not something that typically managed services would do. So that's one of the things we still have to work out. So that's another thing to study. So then the last thing is I probably will try to obtain another quote from another company, just so you guys know, just so we have a really good picture of what it looks like before we do it. But and I really appreciate Greg's been working with me and some of the other departments as we've asked a lot of questions about this. So I appreciate your bearing with us as we have to do a bit more homework, I think. That's my thought. Any other thoughts on the thing?
So I guess,
yeah, we don't need, I would prefer not to take action on this right now. I had it on the agenda as discussion and possible action, but I would prefer to wait a little bit. I had a lot of questions from the departments as we showed the quote to them, because it would be a change in how they're doing things and how they're paying for their IT. So
I guess one thing I'd like to add is, as we move forward looking into this more, there are some departments that did have questions. What I would recommend is that any of those department heads that would like to discuss further, just get their questions answered on the solution, what are they going to be getting for this service, to contact me direct. I can have and Dan. We also did a little over a month ago, I think and Dan did a conference call with Cindy, the auditor, on the solution. So we could do a very similar thing with any department heads that would have any concerns or questions regarding this.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Greg. Thank you for being willing to take the calls. And also, a couple of our larger, more IT heavy departments have been thinking about this.
And this was Greg Richter from Connecting.
Yeah, that was Greg Richter from Connecting Point. Yeah. So anyway, I think for now, that's probably enough, unless anybody has any questions.
what contact information, Greg, would you want to give us?
I think everybody
They
knows
should have
Connecting.
it.
Everybody should have, most departments heads should have me in their contact list, etc. Or call the company.
Yeah.
All right.
So they already call on Connecting Point for the on-call services. It's just, it's paid by an hourly rate when they do it. So
I do have one question, please. If we have a computer, let's say the hard drive goes out of it Is that, and it's at the state's attorney's office, and I see on this proposal here, a PC, they have 8 of them at $240 a month, $240. Would that include the parts and time to fix that, or is this something different? And not.
So here's,
It includes the labor.
so it's just like,
includes the labor, but not the parts.
yeah, so if we had an IT guy, we would, you have the IT guy come from his office and run down and fix it. Then he might have to order the part. So that's kind of,
If we,
I have a question. So you buy a new PC. Is there a warranty period on that? Like a year or something?
Yes, all the PCs that we've been going with the county are the HP business line. They come with a 3-year hardware warranty.
Okay.
So up 3 years, that'll be covered typically on those servers. We put on a 5-year care pack. So the parts are covered for 5 years on that. Out of warranty would be in the event, like Lee said, if a hard drive would go down, monitor goes bad, you would pay for the part, but all services are covered. And Dan mentioned too, as part of this program, basically we will be your IT team. You're not just hiring 1 or 2 people. You're getting Dan Durkee, Bob Frisky. You're getting several engineers throughout our corporation, plus all of our general IT techs that we have on hand. So you'll be hiring a whole team versus 1 or 2 people.
Cindy brought up a good question when she brought new, and I'm going to look to take off the sheet here from the highway department because I see they got a PC and they got 4 of them, and that's $120 a month. But if we bought 4 brand new PCs for that, how would that change that $120 a month?
If you're adding,
provided those, go ahead. It doesn't matter. Yeah, provided you're just replacing those 4 machines. It wouldn't change
we bought
that
4
number
brand
at
new
all.
ones, and you mentioned 3 years.
Yep. The 3-year warranty is just covering parts. So
Okay.
The managed service contract is essentially your labor contract.
Okay, so that figure wouldn't change. Thank you.
so
Yep.
one thing that Greg pointed out that kind of made me think is these guys don't take vacations. So it's probably a little bit easier in our situation. I mean, we can still talk about the possibility of hiring an IT person if that's what we want to take it that way. I just thought we should maybe look at getting some quotes on IT managed services, because I think that might be a better thing. These guys don't take a vacation, so they'd be able to.
I'd like to add to that too, I guess. Yeah, we really don't take vacations a lot, it doesn't seem like, but we've been in business going on 41 years now. The county has probably been one of our better customers for that 41 years. And the majority, if any of you know us, the majority of the people here have probably been here for close to those 40 years. I mean, we got a lot of 30 people, 30 years. Dan, he's been here for 30, pretty close.
What's that? Since 96, so 24.
Yep, and I've been here since 88. Rich Heyer's been here since 85, 86. Brian Wagey, Codington County resident, come out of high school. Brad Drake hired him into the services department. He worked up to managing the Bismarck location, then vice president. Now Brian Wagey is the president. He's been here for probably 35 years or more. So we got a lot of legacy people. Doreen Singray, head of the Ultra software package department and accounting. She's been here for 35 years, 38 years. So yeah, we've been around.
Longer than that. It was 1980 when we started with the software.
oh,
There we go. so
I was
yeah, we're quite entrenched, know the county extremely well. So that's a lot of the added value that we just know how everything works within the county.
Okay. Commissioner Johnson, did you have any questions?
Yes, I did. Yes, and I appreciate all the work that Cindy and Lee and Greg and Don, all of you have done. I appreciate that, and I know Connecting Point has been in Watertown. It's a locally owned, originally business, and it still has a storefront here. What I really when I had a real job and was working at Lake area, we had IT people there to help. And I keep referring back to that. If I had a problem, I would dial 235 and 2 minutes I'd have an IT person there looking over my shoulder, helping me out. I know that you can't provide that kind of service, but what I would like to do or like to hear is, do you have some references, some counties that you're using the system in, and could we get a report from them, or could they come in and share with us, Lee, what their response has been, how well it has worked for them? I guess what I'm saying is I'd really love to have just a full-time IT person on staff, but I know we can't hire people right now. It's just a bad time. That's a bad time for a lot of stuff. But maybe we could get by with this, and maybe in the future plan on hiring a full-time. But I would like to have some references and some information from some of the especially a county that you're working with. That's my request.
I can give you a reference.
Mhm. I did ask for that too, Myron, and Greg did provide them. And I did get call one of those counties. And so, yeah, and that was a good report. I got a good report back. But I haven't called them all yet. And I can share those with you if you want to call.
And the point that I would like is it a county at least the size of Codington?
Well,
if it's Hamlin or Dual, well,
no,
you could.
It was Beetle. I called Beetle. So it's not the same exact size, but closer. So.
Yeah, good.
One thing I would add too, like Myron mentioned about calling extension 213 or whatever, it's literally probably 4 more digits, but Dan can address this. We have multiple people that will be staffing it. So it'd be one phone call into our dispatch center. And I guess, Dan, you could kind of explain that a little bit on response.
Yeah, when you call in, your problem is triaged a little bit, the same that they would do in an emergency room. The top issues get a top priority. Response time is 30 minutes or less. We're averaging about a 22-minute response time right now. The next level would get a response within 2 hours, and then the top level, which typically is information-based, is a 4-hour response time. So we are staffed at a significant level or a sufficient level that allows us to meet those standards for our calls.
I will say that when, we have internet problems, the internet has gone down, we need the internet to do our jobs. Connecting Point has been here on the spot to get us back up there, see what the problem is.
And then for reference to, I guess we got some counties, we got counties on this, but we also got a lot of corporate accounts. I mean, I've got one farmer over by Bemis. He's got 2 computers on, and then we go from corporate. Dan, what's one of our biggest device counts for a customer, just offhand? Ballpark.
We have several accounts that are over 100 devices, 100 machines. One's a manufacturing firm. We've got several financial institutions that are at or near 100. So, we probably our largest customer is about 170 machines, 180 machines. Many of our customers are in that 50 to 75 device count range.
Which Codington would fall into that quite easily. So
I count up 120 devices when you take all the switches and PCs and servers and everything, and the virtual servers. So. But anyway, so I appreciate the discussion, guys. I mean, did anybody else have anything? It gives us some, helps us to do this with our eyes wide open. And like I said, I think we need to study the budget impact a little bit, and we may want to just, for our own due diligence, get another quote. So just to see, so we have a good understanding. So I appreciate it, gentlemen.
very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your information. So what is your wishes with this? Discussion,
don't-
It was just
possible
discussion.
action?
Yeah, I think prefer to keep it a discussion at this point, and not worry about the possible action at the moment because of the like I said, I want to, a couple of budget issues that we need to talk about is if, it's probably going to cost a little bit more if you just try to strip out all the equipment and all the stuff that are covered by the service calls now. I mean, that's kind of what you're replacing, plus you get some added security, a lot of added security actually. And so it'd probably be a little bit more than what we're paying now if you just try to compare as close to apples as you can. But it's going to be cheaper than an IT person on staff. So I think it's kind of that compromise between on the other. So, and the question is, it'd be nice to do it sooner than later, but, or is this something we just try to get into the budget for next year? So that's kind of my question too. So I have to do a little bit more homework on that.
Right, well, we're going into the budget season, so.
Yeah, so I want to, so maybe in the next couple of weeks. I did ask one other company for a quote, so we'll
Okay.
see what happens with that.
All right, we will move on then to item number 14, action.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys. Item number 14, action to change the board's second meeting date to June 4th due to the 2020 primary election. And this is something we have done in the past, but Cindy, you go ahead and explain.
I will tell you, most counties do take this action. I use this room to process all the absentee early ballots. So there's no way I could be available to clerk your minutes, clerk your meeting and run an election. So normally we conduct the canvass 2 days after the election, which this year would be June 4th. And I think Lee has a request to make on the meeting time.
Yeah, so Madam Chair, just it's something before the agenda was published, I had something come up on that day from 9 to 11. So if we could meet on the 4th, but meet maybe in the early afternoon, would that be okay with folks? Say at 1 o'clock or, but I just had something come up.
I mean, anytime is, I'm available anytime. So
I'm
you guys,
available at 2. We could do it at 2.
Two
if that
would work. Yeah, that's fine with me. So.
all right.
Would that work for the rest of you?
2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Myron, does that work for you?
What time does your goes from what, 9 to 11?
Of all.
So why do we wait till 2?
Because I have
Sure,
to
yeah.
at 1.
And 12 to 1 is, yeah, well, yeah. you're-
I just was
There-
thinking
you
1
can't-
o'clock.
yeah.
There is one question you brought up, and you brought it up last week, not brought it up, but reminded me of something you said. You would like to see so that none of your employees get ill and until after the election. This is after the election, and therefore my feeling is I'd like to see it return as much to normal at 9 a.m. in the morning, but I can see with the courthouse, looks like opening up more and more after the election. But I can live with that on the 4th too. At 2 o'clock.
So,
Let's have a motion and a second.
so I'd make a motion to move that to move the June 2nd meeting to June 4th at 2 o'clock.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I just checked my calendar. I'm good to go. That's good. That works for me.
Yeah,
Thank you,
2
Myron.
o'clock doesn't work so good for me, but I guess I'll get outvoted on this again. So all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye,
Mr. Johnson,
aye.
any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 15, discussion possible action on COVID-19 practices and procedures. Do we have anything on that?
I don't think I know of anything that we need to change, just by way of what a review. The big thing is we have our back to new normal plan, and then and as far as things look right now with the thing that Steve went over, the fact that a lot of the equipment and supplies are on order. So I guess we're in pretty good shape for that criterion. And then so the other thing, we still have no new active cases among our employees, or we've never had a active case among employees. And then we just have the primary election to get done. So I know the court's also looking at some of the details of what they want to do. So we'll see, maybe they'll want to change some of the language in their portion of it. But
We currently have one active case in the county, is that correct?
Two.
Two?
Yeah, we
Yep.
just had another one, so we're at 17 total cases. if I'm
And
not mistaken.
15 have recovered?
15
Yes.
every.
So, but that, and that's still, if you try to put it on a graph, it's still a downward trend, but it's kind of, we're not working with, thankfully, we don't have a very big sample size to graph, so.
I
that's a
think
good
they're
thing.
still saying mid-June for peaks, so we'll have to kind
Yeah.
of see.
Are we
what-
going to continue with Zoom? You know, I can come in, like I said before the meeting started, is I kind of feel like the Lone Ranger. I'm the only one on the outside here, but I'm getting along fine. I can continue doing this. I can come in, but the reason we did this is to thin the crowd out a little bit.
Right.
And,
I would,
and so I can continue this, but I don't want people to think that I'm dodging my duties because I spend as much time in front of the computer as everybody else. So,
yeah, I think, Myron, I'd say even if we're all here, just Zoom as a piece of, or the virtual meeting technology, whatever it is, it's actually a little easier to stream, and then the public or whoever is watching the stream on YouTube can see the documents on the screen that we're talking about. So that's a good feature that we could keep whether we're physically present here in the chamber or not. So I'd kind of like to keep using it. It's, we're already streaming anyway. It's just a different piece of software to stream with.
My only concern, I guess, and rightfully so, if we have a quorum of commissioners here, I don't know that we could, if there are individuals from the public who want to be present during the meeting, I don't think we can tell them no.
Yeah, and Madam Chair, in phase 2, we wouldn't tell them no, because we're at phase 2, we're opening the courthouse up.
Right, but
so-
even,
And that includes public can be present at the meetings. So,
right. I'm just saying even now, if we have a quorum of
Oh, yeah, now,
commissioners
yeah.
here, I think
yeah, no,
if
I
somebody
think,
wants to come in, we
Yeah.
can't deny them of
and
that.
the
So,
way I understood Commissioner Johnson's question was that when we go to the open courthouse, are we going to keep using Zoom? And so, yeah, we don't need commissioners to stay away just for the sake of using Zoom. Zoom's useful in and of itself is all, I think is all I'm saying, so.
all right,
Use your judgment, Myron, whatever you want to do.
all right, I guess I'll be doing Zoom for a while.
Okay.
item number 16, discussion, possible action regarding Memorial Park campground operations. Steve, do you have something?
I guess the thing that to add is bad, I know that the city park has opened up, or basically city has opened up their playgrounds, and I was looking at opening that up. I do know that the state parks have opened up all their facilities here this past week. I had gotten a message and so that from the park manager for city park asking him what was done last night with city council. City council turned it back, everything for the park board to make the decision on what they want to do of opening. He is suspecting that they're probably going to open up the remaining part of the facility. I know that the bathrooms are open except for use of showers.
Right.
But that might be changed this coming week, especially with Memorial Day coming up this weekend. So I guess
I did notice that we still have the yellow tape around our playground equipment.
Yes.
Everything is still
Yep.
shut.
While
think-
we were sitting here before the meetings, or when the
Yep.
meeting started, did everybody see that email? You probably haven't. I sent out an email from our insurance company on guidelines for opening up playgrounds, ballparks, swimming pools, that type of stuff. So it
Yeah.
just came this morning.
I was reading it a little bit as well, and it
Okay.
had recommendations for, of at least cleaning the bathrooms, restrooms, at least once a day.
And I didn't get a chance to look at it either.
It more or less though is just regularly, I guess, doing the handles, the faucets, those kind of things of disinfecting those, but to do a thorough clean at least once a day of the bathrooms, which that has always been done, I guess, in the park. Just the added thing would be is routinely go in and sanitize those high targeted areas. And then I know it says to also do indication of, posting and so we had
Signage.
responsibilities and
Yeah.
things like that. And that is one thing that I would probably turn around and do at the park, would do like the city has done. They put postings more or less of, at your own risk, and those kind of things. So
Well, it's like the
that-
mayor said, we can't legislate. We don't want to have to legislate whether or not people can use a swing. I mean,
Sure.
that's public, that's self-accountability, and we need to give our people
Right.
the right
We
to
gotta
do
let
that, so.
let our people make decisions and choices.
Mhm.
So we are in the United States, a free country, to be able to do some of the things
We don't-
underneath the rules.
We don't have any swimming pools to be worried about, and I think
So-
that's one of the city's big issues is the pool. I know the outdoor pools won't be open.
Well, we could
This
always
summer.
shut down the swimming beach.
I talked to Steve, I guess, during the week about this too. I thought, yeah, we might as well just let him go on the playground. But if we have signage that says, that
Right.
take any liability off,
Is that
just
part
to
of
let them know.
our-
I don't know
plan
if
for
we're gonna,
reopening?
I don't know if we'll be free from
We'd have to
liability
get some
unless we
pay.
have
We could-
everybody
we
sign
could
a
put
waiver
the camera on
according
and-
to
yeah.
this
True.
email that came from our
It is.
insurance
Yeah,
company.
Yeah, it's kind of
Full
like you gotta
signage
sign a
isn't
They're
waiver.
saying
Good.
the CDC currently recommends
stay
against
closed.
public use of these facilities. And that playgrounds is one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just look
I
at-
just wanted you to have this information and
I personally don't have a problem with opening up the playground. I think we're getting into Memorial Weekend, and we can put something out to the public too, that it's about self-accountability and making sure that you protect yourself. So, if that means wearing gloves when you're swinging, then I guess that's what you have to do. But
I don't
I don't have an issue.
have any problem with opening up more of the facilities, including the playground, because whether you've got yellow tape around it or not, and you've got kids, then if you want to keep them off, you better post a guard.
Well, I know that was a comment made by the city manager. He basically turned around and says, well, I said, how are you keeping people from the showers? Well, they have doors in there and they're just basically locking them. It's not gonna say prevent a kid crawling in and unlocking. I mean, that's, it's a difficult situation and so hard to regulate. But, I am totally fine for leaving the showers and so until we open more things up publicly. It'd probably just turn around and having the playground equipment and stuff like that, probably.
Open the
start out with.
bathrooms, but leave the showers closed.
Well, that's a tough one I think at the park there, because I think there's some of them that just, I guess I haven't paid attention. There might be some showers that are just a draw curtain.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
That gets a little tougher trying to keep things. I would just say keep that one bathroom facility over by Capesco.
I think, yeah, leave it as it is, and we need to read.
I think somebody
From
needs to
SDA.
contact our insurance company to see
True.
I don't
if
think,
we could be liable. I just want to,
I've
I just
been-
want everything out in the
Yes.
open. Are we liable? And what's it gonna cost us?
I can contact that Stacy Haggy. I've been in contact with her about other things,
Okay.
and SDML has hired them. So
Okay.
I would say to leave things right now the
Well,
way they
that-
are till
that's
we know.
fine. I just, I know with Memorial Weekend coming up, I mean, that's up to
I
you, the
know.
board, to take that decision and so so.
Well, if we have it taped off and somebody goes in there, that's not on us, and they're not following the rules.
Are we gonna remove them from that facility if they go on the playground?
If it's closed.
If you got
technically,
tape
yes.
around it and kids get in there, are you gonna
Is
run
there
in and shoosh them off?
anything- Do we have a function that would allow us to remove anybody? Is the deal. Do we, I don't think we do.
You opened a can.
I don't think we have, I don't
Yes.
think we have,
We,
I mean, we can ask people to not go there, but actually remove them, I don't think we have a
No.
policy.
It might be more of the shooshing, like
Shooshing.
Billy, shooshing, like Charlie said. So-
I mean,
I don't know.
the sunshine is supposed to take care of the virus. That's what we've all been told. I understand what the CDC says, but I think we're getting into an area that's gonna be awful hard to police.
Yes.
I'm kind of excited to see Harley remove somebody from the shower.
I couldn't run fast enough to catch a 4-year-old.
I can't believe that the city of Watertown would open up their playgrounds if there was a liability out there. But,
Yeah, I'm
maybe
just
I'm
passing
maybe I'm
along
speaking
the
out, so
information. Just-
I would.
I
Just
know, that's what
getting-
he says.
giving, scenarios.
That's,
I-
that's me.
And I agree with you, Troy. I don't think the city would open theirs up without doing a lot of due diligence and having the same
So
discussion
has
here.
the city done this yet?
Yes,
Okay.
playgrounds are open.
They-
Question,
okay.
Madam Chair. on that.
Oh, playgrounds, right.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think a lot of, one of the things it says in the insurance recommendation is those services can be hard to clean and sanitize. So if you could clean, maybe a compromise is, and I know it's a pain, is to somehow clean off playgrounds once a day. I don't know if that,
They also recommend signage. So, use at your own risk. I don't know.
So basically they're saying is if you want to use the playground equipment, you need to go to the office and sign up.
Well, no,
Yeah.
signage, put up signage.
And that, yeah,
you
that's
know.
no problem.
Yeah.
I would put signage up on those.
Codington County
Yep.
expects you to be
Do
personally.
we need a motion
Codington County
on
expects
what
you
to
to
do
be
here
personally
with the playground
responsible.
equipment?
yeah, we
Yeah, you do.
Make a motion that we open the playground with the signage.
Second.
so what we're talking about here is opening it back up. You put a sign up and
Yep.
says, practice social
Practice
distancing.
personal distancing.
And we're not,
so
and
that-
if you get germs, it's your fault.
There's a liability waiver included in that email that you sent out.
There is.
That
And
says it's a voluntary activity. It could increase my risk of contracting COVID-19 and pass the virus on to others. It's actually a liability waiver. That's
So
on.
I know, do we hand that to
So-
the small child to take back?
So maybe what we do at check-in is give them a copy of this and have them sign it at the time that they come into the park.
Yeah.
They need to see you in the office anyway.
Maybe,
There you go.
Please hold please hold the attached magnifying glass to read the fine print.
Seriously, that might be something to look at. It is a liability waiver.
It
It's
is.
on here.
And you
It
can
is.
do that at
Parents
check-in.
can sign it,
Yeah.
maybe run it by Becky and see what she says, but it is a waiver. So
I'll let you take care of that.
Okay.
I'm running an election.
Terry had a question.
Terry? Well, that's the other issue. How do you prove that they got the virus on the playground?
When it's a
2-week
lawsuit, you have to prove. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes, that is what I'm trying to say. Yes.
You mean in that they didn't rub up a tree next to their camper and
All right.
contracted?
Well, so we have a motion and a second that we're going to open up the playground. I guess we'll look at getting the signage up and a waiver and go from there. I guess I'll contact Stacy just to let her know what we're doing and
All right.
kind of go from there.
Okay.
So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 17, action to approve claims for payment.
Nothing for 17 or 18.
All right, so item number 19, action to approve personnel changes. I seen
Just
one in our
one.
packet.
Yep. Sarah Tash is a clerk in the Director of Equalization Office. She's doing anniversary step increase. 2 step 7, 1864, and I believe that's the personnel.
Yeah, I just approved that.
Troy has reviewed the
Yep.
personnel review.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Okay, motion by Van Duzen, second by Gable. All in favor, say aye.
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 Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 20, action to approve travel requests. Probably
None
don't
today.
have any of them. Item number 21, public notices, nothing for that. Any old business? Item number 22.
Madam Chair, just one item. Remember we had Great Plains, or actually, Mr. Meyer Henry on behalf of Great Plains Lutheran School and their 501c3 bond issue, and that we're going to support that. So that bond hearing is going to be scheduled for the 9th of June during our meeting. So just FYI for
It'll be
everybody.
the first thing on the agenda that day.
So, so we're setting up, so that means that because it's a public meeting, we have to provide our Zoom stuff.
Would that be
in
the
that-
first reading
It's
or
just a public hearing.
Just a public, so you don't need a first and
No
second reading, you
readings.
just need,
Okay.
just
No
need a hearing.
readings, just a public hearing.
And then
Yeah.
Mr. Meyer Henry is arranging to provide a 1-800 or some kind of a toll-free number
Mhm.
through his office that people can use yeah, I guess there's not a lot of public interest in these things typically, but there is a requirement to do a public hearing. So
All right, is that it? Item number 23, new business. Yes, I don't know, Lee and I will move forward on what we were talking about as to try to make better synergy between offices and in the benefit of our citizens.
And one thing, Madam Chair, on the.
What was that? I didn't hear what you said.
We're gonna move forward on what we talked about of trying to relocate, co-locate for the betterment of our citizens, so.
For the welfare social services
Yes.
piece of it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just that's the, as we, recognize it's a separate discussion. One thing, Madam Chair, on the new or the open, just, I think the other commissioners probably get the same emails about the governor calls. She's been doing about every week, every 2 weeks. So there's one this afternoon. But to avoid quorum, so we only can have 2 of us here, but they only want us to use 1 line. So just if I've been doing them, sometimes Commissioner Hanton's been, or it's been both of us, but if another commissioner wants to do it, I think Commissioner Hanton should do it because she's the chair and also on the task force, but I can bow out if somebody wants to listen into those. Otherwise, I'm happy to do it. But one of the problems is they only ask for one line per county. So because they have a limited number of phone lines.
One week, the governor couldn't even get in because there were so many people on the line, so.
Thank you for volunteering, Lee.
Okay. It's kind of interesting.
That would be a second on that.
Okay, all right. I just didn't want to butt in if we good candidates.
Did also get it, well, oh wait, is this the open?
Yep, we're on to
Oh,
the
sorry, yeah,
open.
sorry.
I did get a text from Councilman Glenn Vilhauer who said that city is satisfied that the city has no legal liability as they begin to reopen their city facilities. So thank you, Glenn, for that. Nice to hear from you.
All right, we do have a need for executive session under number 1, personnel.
I was just going to give you an update on absentee voting. We have mailed out 2,992 ballots, and 1,920 of those have been returned as voted. Yesterday was the deadline for voter registration changes, so anything that came in after 5 o'clock, we are not allowed to process. And we did check the lock box at 5 o'clock and it was empty. So if there was anything in there this morning, we know that it was past the deadline and we cannot process it because they had to be in my office at 5 o'clock.
So just to be really clear on that we were not talking about absentee ballot applications. You're talking about changes.
I'm talking about voter registration changes. Yes, absentee ballots can be applied for through 5 o'clock on June 1st. And then I was at the Ag Building yesterday to review the facility and work with the guys out there. We should have plenty of room for people to observe the 6-foot distancing. I had some large signs made up by Jurgens Printing to post. And then the Secretary of State's office, it's been several weeks ago, was trying to procure some safety PPE for our election workers, and those were delivered yesterday. Among those things are masks, hand sanitizer, disinfecting wipes, just various things to protect our election workers. We currently have all our election workers in place. It seems like we always have somebody who has to bow out at the last minute. So hopefully we're set on that. But otherwise, just want to remind voters that the vote by mail is an option. It's not a mandate.
Right.
It's an option that you're allowed to take advantage of. Is it a recommendation? It's also a recommendation, but it's not a mandate. So the polling places in Codington County, all the normal places will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on election day.
That's when I'm going out campaigning, that is exactly the message that I relay. Plus, if you want to mail it in, put $1.20.
And $1.20. That, yes.
I think there's been some confusion on that because I've had people say, well, you got to mail in your ballot. It's a lot of extra work, but people need to know that you can still go to the polls. Like you just
go to the polls.
spent 5 minutes talking about, go to the polls on the 2nd of June.
It's a very
and
short
vote.
ballot. It's not going to take you long. And we'd also encourage people to get in, cast their ballots, and then leave.
Right.
Previously, people have kind of visited, hung around and visited. We're not encouraging that this time. We're encouraging people to come in, cast your ballot, and exit through the south entrance to the expo building. So, and the other thing, to avoid the postage cost for the ballot, if you're in town, if you're in the county, the lockbox at the south entrance to the courthouse is still available, and it is checked a number of times every day.
So there's still 1,072 ballots out there that have not been returned yet, that have been mailed out. So
yes,
get those
and
turned in.
there's been a lot of confusion. People don't
Bring your
realize-
pencil.
Go ahead, Myron.
I said, bring your own pencil.
No, actually, we are providing pens, but they'll be given to the voter. They can take it with them or throw it away. We do not want it back at the election table. We have ordered enough pens so that they do not have to be used twice. I don't have election workers trying to scramble and sanitize everything. So we are taking some measures. Yes, it's costing us more money this election, but we do not want to be responsible for the spread of anything. I think that's about it.
You said you sent out 2,990.
2992 as of 5 o'clock last
92.
night.
How many voters are there in the county again?
Over 18,000.
18,000.
But I mean, primary elections are traditionally a very low turnout. For instance, the Democrat ballot has one race on it in Codington County, and one of the candidates in that race has publicly withdrawn,
Yes.
but chose to leave his name on the South Dakota primary election ballot. The Republican ballot is also very short. There's a local legislative race, District 5, 3 candidates running for 2 spots, U.S. House, U.S. Senate, and commissioner races in the district. So people are very confused on that also, that when they get their ballot, they're not seeing a commissioner race. Well, it's because you're not registered Republican and you don't live in the district where the race is being held. They're very confused on that part of it too.
On that note.
Which is nothing new.
No, to get a sample ballot, I mean, if they'd want to look it over before they go in, your recommendation, just go to the Secretary of State.
I would, yeah, the Secretary of State's website, you can put your name in, it'll bring up the ballot specifically for you. The other thing that is really going to help is if people know what their ward and precinct is before they go to the polling place. That way we don't have a line at the information table. We're going to have barricades set up in front of each precinct with the precinct names and numbers on them, so people will know which table is theirs. So, but the important thing is to know your precinct before you go in the building.
Cindy will also be on the mayor's briefing on May 26th at 3:30.
And you'll probably hear the same thing that I just said here.
That's all right, though. It's good. It will be closer to the time of.
Repetition, yes, is
Yeah.
good.
Appreciate all the work on that. It's a lot of work.
It is.
Madam Chair, just your question about the where to get your absent or your sample ballot.
ballots.
So if you go to the website, I put it on I'm sharing the welcome screen from the county, but if you go to the county website, which is codington.org, you can click on this list of things you can do by mail or online, and hopefully it'll go. And then down below, it talks about mail-in ballots, and then doing your sample ballot, you can go to this link here, and it'll have you put your name and your name
Takes
and
you
your
right
address.
to the site.
So it's really easy to do.
Yes.
And you'll get your particular thing, and then you enter all the information there, and and there you go. And you can just look at your sample ballot. Pretty
Right.
easy to do.
There will be sample ballots available at the polling place on election day. We are required to provide each precinct table with a number of sample ballots for anyone who feels they need to study it. But like I said, it's a very short ballot, and I've heard a number of campaign ads, so hopefully people are watching for those and researching beforehand.
All right. Is that all for the open?
Also, sample ballot will be published in the newspaper twice.
Okay.
In the next, might actually be this week and next week. I don't have my notes with me, but we are required by law to publish the sample ballot at least once. I chose to publish it twice this year just because of the events. So some more added costs, but I want to make sure people see that. I think it might be in the paper this Saturday and then again one time next week. Also, our polling places will be published in the paper. And voters, please call our office if you have any questions.
Will that be in the South Shore Gazette as well? The
Yes,
sample
both the
ballots?
legal newspapers of the county were required to publish, yes.
All right. Anything else for the open? Commissioner Johnson, do you have anything?
Nope, I'm good to go.
All right, then I need a motion to go into executive session under number 1, discussion of personnel issues.
So moved.
A motion by Gable,
Second.
second by Van Duzen. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
All right, we're in executive session.
And there's unlikely to be action, so I'll
Thanks,
stop,
Terry.
I'll stop the stream.
Thank you.
Who's here? Terry's staying.
Oh, yeah,
No further action.
I'm just saying hi.
There is another.